Hello. Okay, so I'm just gonna get into it because I'm long-winded and I've got a lot to say. So I'm gonna talk about my educational philosophy. I feel like I was pretty prepared for this class, and I think that for me, this class has been more about really digging down and understanding that, like, I guess I have this idea that like all teachers think the same way. There's my dog. And we were all in this for the same reason, but I don't know, after coming out of this, I don't know that that's necessarily the case, which is definitely a very interesting thing to think about. Here, we'll bring him. Hey, bud. It's definitely a good thing to think about. Not everyone's the same, any aspect of life, so not all teachers are going to be the same. But it has also helped me refine my educational philosophy and be more specific. And I never really thought about it as like the opposite of a syllabus. Like a syllabus is what, I expect of my students. My philosophy of teaching should be what my students can expect from me. Because if I want like really learners who are really like intrigued and interested, they need to be able to come in and like know what to expect each day, especially from me in particular. Because I am kind of like, I've got a lot of power and I don't want to make it seem like that. I don't want to be like a queen that rules over my kingdom. I definitely want it to be a democracy. And I think that that's the best way. Kids like consistency. And I'm rambling here, but that's what I want my students to expect from me. And I want them to know that like I want to be a shepherd of like only good things in their life. And so like putting that into words also just felt really good. It felt good to like know that those weren't just in my brain, that I could speak them into the void. Heart for teaching, honestly, the main thing that comes to my mind is like I think about the teachers that I had as a kid. And there are definitely teachers that I had that like if they were getting paid $0, they would still be teaching. Because people always say like, oh, you're gonna be a teacher, you're not gonna make any money, which isn't necessarily true. I know that my 4th grade teacher, at the end of her tenure, like by the end of the time she was working, she was making like 80, so she was fine, and you can be doing fine. But there are a lot of teachers who teach just for like summers off, or just because like, I'm sorry, but like if you're not really that invested, it can be an easy job if you don't challenge yourself to be better for your students. It definitely can be easy if you just fly under the radar. I mean, you can just show a movie and keep your kids occupied if you want to just be that glorified babysitter. But I think the people in my life who really had like a heart for teaching, I know would have been there even if they were making $0. And I know that they were like really interested in my life and who I was, and like a lot of them came to my graduation party, which was really cool. So yeah. And then my teaching strategies and my growth this semester, I think most of my growth has been working with other people, because obviously like there are teams that you work with. Oh, here comes the other one. There are teams that you work with when you're a teacher, and that's really the best way to work. And if you don't have good communication with your other teachers, even if it's being open to being like, I don't really think that's that great of an idea, you just need to be comfortable saying that. And so I worked on, when I was working my facilitation, not being like, I don't want to sound rude, or this might be a bad idea, just being like, these are my concerns. If you can answer them, great. If not, let's work around them. So that's been my growth. The assignment that I felt was most impactful, honestly, just the like, I guess the like reading the Dumbing Us Down was really interesting. And I don't know, it just didn't feel like there were a ton of assignments, I guess, but there were a lot of really impactful things for me. I think in particular the one that was like schools and classrooms and stuff are a like factory. And my dad, like when I was talking about like schools are a factory and we're teaching boring things, and so that's why kids are like needing to be medicated. I thought that was really interesting and made me think about like the way I teach. Like I can't choose what I am teaching, the content, but I can choose the way I teach it and try to make it as impactful as possible and as engaging as possible. And any last words I'd like to leave with you you. I don't know. I think this class was a lot more challenging for me than I thought it was going to be. Not necessarily like assignments and what I was expected from me. It was really hard for me to hear when we were talking about privilege. It was really hard for me that there wasn't someone who was like, this is correct and this isn't. Which, in my brain, that's how it is. It's very easy for me to be like, this is correct. Like, this is how you should treat people. Or like, I don't know. I feel like I really struggled with that. But again, it's part of your guys' way of teaching. And I think it was also nice that someone acknowledged that like sometimes teachers aren't awesome. Because I'm always the first person to defend a teacher, especially, I live in Johnson County and I live in a pretty like well-off area right now. And it's, there's this really big thing of like, parents will defend their student or their kids to the death, which you should, but at the same time, like, sometimes your kid's being an asshole. And, but then as a student also, I know that I've had really ineffective teachers, and like my math teachers have been garbage in the past. And, I was lucky enough in high school to get some pretty good ones, but but, it was nice that you acknowledged the reason that we were there was to make effective teachers and make sure the people who wanted to be there really wanted to be there. Because if you're not a good teacher, it can be really damaging. So yeah, I'm supposed to leave with a snappy outro. Like, that's the first thing I think of as a dad joke, and I'm sorry, I'll go now. Bye.